Technology has dramatically transformed how we communicate. Social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok have changed the dynamics of conversations, making them more public and often more fragmented. On the other hand, messaging apps and video calls have made it easier to stay connected with loved ones across the globe. AI is also playing a significant role. Chatbots and virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa are becoming more sophisticated, helping us with tasks and providing information quickly. AI-driven algorithms influence what we see online, shaping our opinions and behaviors, often without us realizing it. What are your thoughts on how this shift in communication affects our relationships and society as a whole?
It's very difficult to tell exactly how much and what exactly it is affecting, but what is obvious is that it is affecting us. There are higher rates of depression, there are higher rates of suicide, there are higher rates of people saying how lonely they are, and all of these things seem to correspond with the explosion of social media. And I can only imagine that AI is only going to fuel those flames. It's hard to imagine AI is going to change that or mitigate some of the consequences that we've already been facing. So it's a very interesting world we live in, and I'm not quite sure what the solution to this problem is. As far as your question, to try to answer it more directly, I think that there are profound ways that these things are affecting us, both good and bad, as you alluded to. And I think we just really need to learn how to adapt to our current technology, given that we are very ill equipped, just physiologically speaking, to deal with the amount of pleasure that these things bring us. And I think that this makes it especially important for lawmakers, regulators, parents, anyone in authority to do whatever it takes to try to instill some level of moderation in the wider society, or in their kids, or, for teachers to their students, and so on and so forth.
You've highlighted some crucial points. The rapid pace at which technology evolves often outstrips our ability to adapt to it healthily. Social media, for example, taps into our psychological needs for connection and validation, but the superficial and often curated nature of online interactions can leave many feeling isolated and inadequate. This paradoxically increases feelings of loneliness and depression, despite being constantly connected. AI's role is indeed a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can provide incredible tools and efficiencies like mental health apps that offer support and chatbots that can provide instant help. On the other hand, AI can exacerbate issues by creating echo chambers and feeding us content that keeps us engaged, sometimes at the cost of our well-being. Your call for moderation and thoughtful regulation is essential. It's about finding a balance between embracing technological advancements and ensuring that they enhance rather than detract from our mental and emotional health. This could involve promoting digital literacy, encouraging mindful usage, and fostering environments where offline, face-to-face interactions are valued and maintained. What steps do you think individuals can take to mitigate these negative effects in their own lives?
Before I answer that question, if I still remember it after this, I wanted to talk about that echo chamber that you mentioned. I think this is such an interesting phenomena, and I think it's one that's not limited to just the online or virtual space. It seems like it's really a manifestation of our tribal tendencies. Human beings have always benefited from, or historically, I should say, benefited from circling the wagon amongst their kin and people that they're familiar with in order to thrive as a society. But as technology has kept on improving, and now we are more familiar with people who are across the seas and across the hills even, which is something that we used to not be privy to, I think that we have come to a point where we need to really outgrow those tribal instincts that make us want to isolate other people who don't agree with us, or other people who are not in our proximal geography. And I think that these echo chambers that you alluded to online are, again, just a symptom of that. I think we've created these virtual spaces where we really just replicate the same behaviors that we are known for in our real world interactions and society. So I think until we fix the real world problems, we really are not going to get a hold of these virtual problems, because it's like a free for all arena that is extremely difficult to moderate. And once again, with the increasing explosion of AI, it's only going to get worse. To try to answer your question now, I think you asked how individuals can mitigate these risks personally. I think it really just comes down to discipline. Whatever, I think another way of asking your question is, how do we go about disciplining ourselves? And that just comes down to practice and, being mindful of what we're doing, especially now, because it's so difficult to be mindful when we have all of these distractions.
You bring up a profound point about our tribal instincts and how they manifest in both the physical and virtual worlds. The echo chambers we see online indeed reflect our natural inclination to seek out like-minded individuals and create insular groups. Historically, this helped ensure survival and cohesion within communities. But now, in an interconnected world, it can lead to polarization and division. The challenge is to extend our empathy and understanding beyond our immediate circles, recognizing that the world is much more interconnected than our instincts might suggest. This means actively seeking out diverse perspectives and engaging in conversations that challenge our viewpoints, which can be uncomfortable but ultimately enriching. As for mitigating risks on an individual level, discipline and mindfulness are key. It's about setting boundaries for technology use, curating our information intake to include diverse sources, and regularly reflecting on our digital habits. Practicing mindfulness can help us become more aware of how we spend our time online and how it affects our mental and emotional health. Creating intentional breaks from technology, prioritizing face-to-face interactions, and engaging in activities that ground us in the physical world can also help balance our digital lives. It's not an easy task, but small, consistent efforts can lead to significant improvements over time. How do you personally manage your digital habits to ensure they're beneficial rather than detrimental?
I really like that point you made about getting out of our comfort zone and interacting with people who we might not be comfortable with and ideas that we might not be comfortable with. This is something that I have been working on for quite a while now. I think naturally I have a higher tolerance for contradictory opinions, and actually I think I'm very much a contrarian. I'm always looking for things that contradict the norm, but I noticed that not other people are as comfortable with such conversations or such ideas, and I think this is quite unfortunate. And again, this is not to say that there isn't benefit to having a cohesive society who believes who have a similar foundation as to what their beliefs are. In many ways, this is what we are lacking these days, is a framework that we all can agree to, because we all have our very opposing ideas. But at the same time, it's all about balance. It's about recognizing when we should try to work together, when we should compromise, while also allowing other people to voice their opinion instead of trying to shut it down in the spirit of cohesion. To foster cohesion, we should do that by engaging with ideas instead of suppressing ideas, because these are two routes to the same goal. One just happens to foster growth, self-improvement, a better society that is considering various ideas and hopefully coming out with a better one. It's that, how do I describe this? I'm losing the word, but I'll just keep going with what I'm saying. To answer your question about what do I do, I think this was your question. What do I do personally to discipline myself when it comes to the online arena? I think it's been a very long time coming for me. I think this is probably the most productive I've been and the least distracted I've been about social media and just, technology in general. And that's not saying much, because I still find myself getting very distracted at, certain stretches of time. But I think it just comes down to slowly weaning ourselves off of these things. It's not going to happen in a day. It takes a lot of time to do so. And it's really, mindfulness is at the heart of it, because without being mindful, we are just at the whims of wherever these technologies want to take us.
Your insights are very thoughtful and resonate with the challenges many of us face in the digital age. Balancing the benefits of diverse viewpoints with the need for societal cohesion is indeed a delicate act. It's admirable that you actively seek out and engage with contradictory opinions. This not only broadens your perspective, but also fosters a more nuanced understanding of complex issues. You're right that achieving balance involves recognizing when to collaborate and compromise and when to allow space for dissenting voices. Suppressing ideas can lead to stagnation, while engaging with them can drive growth and innovation. This is crucial for personal development and for the collective progress of society. Regarding your approach to disciplining yourself in the online space, it sounds like you've made significant strides by gradually reducing distractions and being mindful of your technology use. It's a continuous journey, and the fact that you're conscious of it is a major step forward. Practicing mindfulness helps you stay grounded and intentional with your time, making it easier to resist the pull of endless digital distractions. In your experience, what has been the most effective strategy or habit that has helped you stay disciplined and mindful with your technology use?
I want to wrap up in my response to that question. I think it really is a chicken and an egg situation where I'm not sure if it's my gradual improvement when it comes to being distracted or not letting myself to be distracted that has allowed me to schedule certain things during my day. I don't have a very strict schedule where at a specific time every day I'm doing something, although that could help some people. I think that all I do basically is just make sure that during 10 minutes of a day, I am allocating that for something. It doesn't matter which point of the day that is, or 1 hour for something else, you know? So I have about 3 or 4 things that I find incredibly productive and that are aligned with my goals that I definitely do during the day. I don't let any day pass by so far without them, skipping my attention. So I think that's one way. But again, I'm not sure if it's that improvement that has caused me to schedule that time or if it's scheduling that time that has caused me to improve. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically that's one way that I've noticed I have improved over the years as far as avoiding distractions, because during that time I know that if I don't get whatever it is that I have my eyes set on, then if I don't get that done, then basically I feel like I failed. I failed my goal, my objective for the day. So it's my number one priority to make sure that even in spite of the technology that I might use during the day, as long as I'm getting those things done, I can feel satisfied.
That makes perfect sense. It sounds like you've developed a flexible yet effective strategy that aligns well with your goals. By allocating time for key activities without rigid scheduling, you maintain a sense of structure while allowing for adaptability. This approach helps ensure that your priorities are consistently addressed, which is crucial for staying on track amidst potential distractions. Your method of focusing on a few critical tasks each day and making them non-negotiable is a powerful way to foster discipline. It's interesting how this creates a positive feedback loop. The more you stick to these productive habits, the more you improve your ability to manage distractions, and vice versa. It's evident that your mindful approach to technology and productivity is paying off. By ensuring that important tasks are completed daily, you're setting yourself up for continued progress and success. Keep up the great work.
Why, thank you, and I appreciate the conversation. I will go ahead and wrap it up here.
You're very welcome. I'm glad we had this conversation. Have a great day, and best of luck with your ongoing projects.